G'day everyone, Lucas here from the Aussie Gamers Experience, and today we're taking a look at a new laptop series from ASUS, which is the TUF laptop F15. Now I do have a little bit of a comparison here. I do own, well, technically my daughter owns it, but I bought it last year's model. Now this one's a little bit different from last year's, and I will draw some comparisons throughout the later part of this video. But first, let's get this thing unboxed. There's not much to it, but we'll have a look at what's inside when you get it. All right, let's open it up. And that's the unboxing experience. This is what's inside these things and what the box looks like. They're just typical cardboard. I guess they're saving a little bit of money on the box there because it's really not used that often. We'll just put the computer to the side. In the middle here, we do have some of the usual bits and pieces. Warranty card, that's this one here. It's a user guide and some more warranty stuff, I guess, but we'll leave them. A little bit uninteresting. Nothing in this portion. There's nothing in there, so I don't know if there's supposed to be things in that section or if it's literally folded like that to make the box the shape it is. And over here we have the power brick. It says 200 watt on it. This is thinner than last year's model, and it looks kind of sleek, but it's still a hefty brick with the cable on it. Just a simple round connector there. I don't know what they're called, but this the usual, and the connector that goes into your wall. That's an Australian plug for those that are wondering, and that's pretty much everything that's in the box. Like I said, there's not really much to the unboxing here. Well, I'll get the computer, I guess. Let's open this up. I completely forgot about the main attraction, which is the laptop. It comes in a sock there. Comes in a sock. Alright, and we've got this protector on there, and there's the laptop there. But what we'll do is through the magic of editing, I'm going to go away, use this for a week, play a lot of games on it, see how it actually runs and works and all that sort of stuff. And in the next part of this video, I'm going to tell you what I think about it. So let's get started. Okay, I am back with about a week of gaming on the ASUS TUF, and it's time to give you my thoughts on how it all went. Let's start off with taking a look at what makes the ASUS TUF tick in 2021. There are two different models available in this particular range, but the one that I've tested is the top tier, so for the rest of the video, I'll be referring to this model. For the CPU, an 11th gen Intel i7-11370H processor has been used. This is the latest generation processor from Intel, which claims to be, above all, more efficient in delivering power, which ultimately means cooler operation with less power consumption. Utilizing the system controlled boost feature, this processor can reach up to 5 GHz in speed, which is outstanding for a laptop model, but don't expect it to stay around 5 GHz for very long. That'll just be for special circumstances where you get max boost. For the GPU or the graphics card, ASUS has opted to install a unicorn under the hood. The impossible to find in the wild RTX 3070 has been jammed in there somehow, with only minor compromises in power usage and boost clocks. The display is a 15.6-inch 1080p IPS LCD with a massive 240Hz refresh rate and a 3 millisecond response time with adaptive sync. For the RAM, we have 16 GB on board with the ability to upgrade to 32 GB using the spare SODIMM socket. And it's not cheap slow RAM either. They've gone with a pretty decent 3200 MHz speed DDR4. For storage, you're getting a 1TB SSD built in, which is a jump up from last year's 500 GB, so that's nice. And there's also an additional M.2 NVMe SSD slot under the hood, so you can add more storage if you want to. For the I/O ports, or the input-output ports, on the left-hand side we have the power plug, which is strangely located in a more centralized position on the side and closer to the other ports than it was on previous models. Next to the power port though is a gigabit RJ45 Ethernet port, And then following that is a full-size HDMI 2.0 port, then a USB 3.2 Gen 1 Type A port, and a USB Type-C Thunderbolt 4 port with support for USB 4.0 and DisplayPort 1.4a and PD 3.0, more on that later. Lastly, on the left-hand side is the 3.5mm headphone jack for your audio purposes. Now moving across to the right-hand side, there are two more USB 3.2 Gen 1 Type A ports. For the wireless connection, built in is a Wi-Fi 6 connection and Bluetooth 5.2. There are two stereo speakers, which, well, could actually be louder. If you're playing a game while plugged into the external power, I struggle to hear the audio over the sound of the fan spooling up to keep the unit cool. The speakers are sufficient, however, if you're just watching a movie or YouTube video when the fans aren't spooled up to max. The battery is a decently sized 76 watt-hour in capacity, which for me has been an all-dayer without issue. Now, you're never going to get much more than an hour or so when playing a AAA video game on battery power, but for general use, watching videos, listening to music or browsing the internet, this is a try and kill it in a day kind of experience here. I tried and I couldn't do it. The power adapter is still a brick, but it has shrunken in size from last year's model, which I guess is nice. You can also use an optional PD charger, which can get you around 50% charge in under 30 minutes. But if you know how batteries work, I wouldn't use that unless you're in a bind, because the super fast charging for batteries can really shorten their life. Now that about wraps up the specs of the system, so let's move on. The form factor has been downsized from last year's models in that it's much thinner now, with a thickness of only 19.9mm, which is impressive considering the amount of powerful components this thing is housing. While the size of the screen hasn't been compromised, the keyboard has been cut down from the 100% keyboard to a mere 65% keyboard this time round. It's not really a deal breaker to go without the number keys on the right hand side, but it's a nice to have feature that some people really would prefer to have, like myself. The overall design aesthetic is still quite nice without being an over-the-top alien spaceship looking computer. This will fit into an everyday carry without looking out of place in a board meeting, while still packing a punch on those lunch breaks where you can smash out some zombie killing action in your favourite video game, which just might happen to be Dying Light. Yeah, that's mine. The pairing of an 11th gen i7 CPU and the RTX 3070 is bound to make a laptop that sings, and it absolutely does. I don't generally expect too much from laptop variants due to their lower power usage for heat limitations, but damn, this laptop knows how to use the smaller bank of power it has. For example, playing Dying Light, yeah, I know it's an older title, but playing that on max settings, I consistently saw frame rates over 100 FPS throughout all sections of the game. The same goes for Doom Eternal, getting up really close to around 100 FPS and being quite stable at that. I also tried out Modern Warfare multiplayer using ray tracing while utilizing DLSS on balanced mode, delivering me around 100 to 115 FPS. I also tried out Gears of War 5, and while playing that on ultra settings at 1080p, I was getting around 60 to 70 FPS pretty consistently. Well, it's a keyboard really. The keys are quiet and still have a very slight click to them, so you don't feel all mushy when you're pressing them, and it helps you to realize when the cap has been properly pressed. There are 4 dedicated shortcut keys up the top of the board there, which are actually really useful. Up and down for the volume, mute the microphone, and a shortcut to the Armory Crate software. That's the built-in stuff in the system there, so you can control all the system settings such as lighting, cooling, and presets, etc. The keyboard lights up blue. Not some deep mesmerizing blue or anything like that. No, it's kind of like a greyish blue. And I guess it's easy on the eyes, but the first thing I tried to do was to try and work out how to change the colours, because it's a PC, right? It's got to have RGB. Well, in the end I found out that no, you can't. For the first time in a very long time, here is a laptop computer which does not have RGB. It's just one colour, and it's called Bolt Blue. At the best of times, I try to avoid using a touchpad for the sake of my own sanity. However, they've managed to make this one just a little bit worse off than before. They removed the left and right buttons and integrated them into the pad. This isn't a first, many laptops use this feature like Apple's MacBooks and things like that. But for me, if I had to use a touchpad, I would prefer to have the physical left and right mouse click buttons. But besides that, it's just a touchpad really. Well, this part's going to be easy to review. There isn't one. Why is there no webcam? Video calling is in its prime at the moment. More people every day are using Zoom, Skype. Yeah, look, some people still use Skype. Discord, and also FaceTime is coming to PCs through browser support as well. That's cool. But for some reason, ASUS left out a webcam. I'm sure there are a lot of people out there that wouldn't ever use one, but the convenience of having it there while you're out and about and need to punch out a quick Zoom meeting, it's just too high to leave it out. I am sure this omission will render this a no-buy from quite a few people who want a computer for work and play. ASUS boasts about their intelligent cooling solution for being able to provide efficient cooling while providing high performance. I'd agree with that, yeah, it sure does, absolutely, nailed it. The laptop never got too hot on the keyboard and the performance never seemed to throttle due to heat. However, I still wouldn't recommend gaming with this thing on your lap. It does discard a lot of heat out of its ports, and I also learned a lesson to not leave a half-eaten chocolate bar next to the exhaust port on this thing. That makes for one hell of a mess. Now, I'm sure there's a lot of engineering that has gone into the cooling solution here, but in the end, I really think it comes down to the fact that these fans just spool up like an A380 jet engine, almost like it was competing with a PlayStation 4 for the loudest and most obnoxious sounding fan noise. So yeah, it cools well, but you'll hear it working. Have a listen. Don't let that scare you though, those loud fans are only ever a thing when you're gaming on a pretty demanding title. When in Windows, using a browser or some simple apps or streaming something from Netflix, the system automatically switches to a silent mode, and not a peep was heard out of those jets. The 15.6-inch 1080p LCD is good. That's all really, but I didn't find anything mind-blowing about it. There's nothing terrible either. It's bright enough in direct sunlight and clear enough for nighttime gaming. The 240Hz is nice, but it's probably a little bit overkill. Last year's model had a 144Hz monitor, which I feel was just right. With exception of games like CSGO, there isn't much out there that'll take full advantage of such high refresh rates. But I guess it's nice to have a higher ceiling than needed, I guess. It's smooth, it's clear, and well, it's a screen. Is the 2021 ASUS TUF Dash an improvement over last year's model? Well, I guess that's a yes and a no. The performance is definitely improved with an Intel 11th Gen CPU and the RTX 3070. That's no slouch, so I love how it plays games. I had no issues there at all. The size reduction is nice, but the smaller keyboard isn't on my happy list. Yeah, the bezels are smaller now, so it looks nice, but there's no webcam there, which hurts the value of it a bit. If you're someone who uses the camera, it's an instant issue of having to carry like an actual webcam with you, a cabled one, in your laptop bag, and setting it up, that's not a graceful process on the run. The battery this time round is smaller than the previous model. This one's a 76 watt-hour battery compared to the 90 watt-hour battery of last year's model. However, with the more efficient components available this year, it hasn't impacted the battery life at all. Actually, I think it actually lasted longer, but that's not really fair to compare a new battery that's just been put into this computer with one that's 12 months old already. Would I buy this thing? Yeah, I think I would. For its gaming ability, I would absolutely love to have this at my side, but I think of my daughter when I think of laptops, as she needs them for school. Having a laptop that lasts all day with general day-to-day tasks is a must, and this one ticks that box definitely. Also, at the same time, it can handle big AAA video games with ease, and that's just excellent. Well, that's all I have for today. Did I get something wrong? That happens sometimes, so if I did, let me know in the comment section down below, and if you're right, I'll pin your comment so others can see it. Don't forget to click the like and subscribe button for more videos from the Aussie Gamers Experience, including myself. Thanks for watching, and until next time, I am Lucas, and I will see ya!